I did this to myself. I absolutely did this to myself. Hello, my lovely friends, it's Margaret. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to try... I just thought about all of the editing that I'm gonna have to do for this, but it's fine, it's fine. We're here, I'm a booktuber, this is what we do. We are going to try to summarize the entirety of my 2023 reading year in one video, since I didn't talk to y'all about like half the books that I read last year. We're gonna do a couple of things in this video. First off, I'm gonna talk to y'all in general about what my reading year is. I signed up for Storygraph specifically so I could get the fancy little pie charts and everything. And then after that, I am going to tier rank every single book that I read last year that was not talked of in either my best of or worst of 2023 videos. That's it. That's all you need to know. Let's go ahead and go over to Storygraph. Here we have my Storygraph. These are all of my stats for 2023. As you can see, the total books I read last year was 90 books. We did talk about 19 of those books in between my best and my worst of. I also removed 4 of them because they are St. Martin's Press titles, unfortunately, so they're not going to show up on this video. I'm sorry to the authors that affects. I'm very sorry that your publishing company cannot meet the very reasonable demands of the boycott. I'll have more information of that linked down below in the description box, but basically, they're just asking us not to talk about these books on the internet. This right here is the reason that I did it, because I like how Storygraph goes into these moods. 66 of the books that I read fall under adventurous. The next biggest one is going to be mysterious. Ooh, mysterious books. After that, we have 24 of them are dark books. And I didn't even read any Robin Hobb this year. Emotional for 22, and then number 5 is lighthearted. So that's probably a lot of the manga that I read. So my least are challenging moods and inspiring. Okay, I need to know, what book did they put as challenging? I highly disagree with that, Storygraph. If you want to know all of my issues with this book, my worst of video is there. My vlog where I did this book of books is there. Go check that out. But I would not... Who the fuck considers that book challenging? The other one was inspiring. What's this one? The jokes write themselves. This book is like the bottom of the barrel when it comes to manic pixie dream girl books. I'm sorry, I understand that Stargirl was probably the original one that did that. I didn't find it well done. I have read so many books that still have the same issues with how the female, but they're still better done, I feel, than this book was. Moving on, primarily I am reading medium-paced books at 61%. Fast-paced books is the next one, obviously was slow. As for page count, the majority of the books, oh my god, we have like almost a tie between me reading books that were less than 300 pages and books that were between 300 and 499 pages, so we have 36 and 37. Not a lot of the 500 plus page books, which I feel like that is just like a personal affront to myself. I feel like I have failed myself. The light is starting to go. Give me just a second. I'm gonna get another light in here. So we broke out the ring light. Hopefully that will make up for any weirdness that the clouds want to do while we are filming. 100% fiction. I did not read any nonfiction last year, which is why that's a goal that I'm doing for this year. Most genre read. No one is surprised to find that I read 64 fantasy books last year. Like, by far, double. Young adult is not a genre, but I did read quite a few. Romance is the next genre. Manga. Historical. Middle grade is not a genre. And then science fiction. So those are my top 5. Fantasy, romance, manga, historical, and science fiction. I would like to get that science fiction number bumped up next year, so hopefully we'll be able to do that. We're gonna not look at format right now because that is way off. I don't know what happened when it ported over from Goodreads, but it's off. Most read authors. Let's see, we've got Atsushi Okubo. Okay, that makes sense. Kamome Shirahama. Aida Iro. Stephanie Garber, and then Margaret Owen. I don't know if Margaret Owen really counts. Like, probably we should say Martha Wells, because I don't know if it counts. Like, she should count as my most read, as, like, one of my top 5 authors. When 2 of those, like, it's 3 of her books, it's actually 2 of her books, because one of them I read twice last year. Primary English is, or language is English. I don't know where we're getting the Spanish, Basque, and French from. because to my knowledge, everything that I read last year was English first. So I don't know where we're, like, no idea where we're getting that from. My highest reading month is, to no one's surprise, August. Amazing Readathon really helped me out there. I got 6,979 books. Nope, that's not books, pages. And I read 24 books in the month of August. Actually, I did do a wrap-up for August. I just remembered that. I did a wrap-up for August, or I did two, because one of them was all of the manga that I read, one of them was all of the books that I read, so I'll link that down below with all of the vlogs. My next highest month looks like it was... Well, for pages, it was November, but for books read, it was April. That makes sense. Actually, no, I think I gave up on Rumble-a-thon. I gave out 10 5-stars 14 5-stars. Oh, that's right, because 4 of them were rereads. Rereads aren't eligible for my favorite books of the year. The rating that I gave out the most was 4 stars, followed by 3 stars. That tracks. I tend to be very good at picking out books that I know I'm gonna like and knowing which books to steer away from. The things that would make a book, 1 or 2 stars, typically, well, not 2 stars, but the things that would make a book 1 star, I typically shy away from. Moving on to the tier ranking that we're doing, I have come up with 5 different categories that I felt fit my feelings for the books that didn't make the 2 standout lists of the year. At the top, in the S tier, we've got It's a Reread. Of course I love it. I had to put that in there because there were so many rereads last year. Next, in the A tier, we have Fantastic, but Not Starting a New Religion. That is, I mean, you probably haven't watched my video that I did many, many years ago about how I rate my books, but for me, my 5 stars typically are books that I'm going to start a new religion for this book. You guys have seen that with Little Thieves, you've seen it with Percy Jackson. 5 stars means that I loved it so much, and I can't, it's an inquantifiable feeling. I can really like a book and it not be 5 stars. There's just something, an extra 5-star fuzzies that I get that tell me this is a 5-star book. The B tier is Someone Will Love It, because I can a lot of the time, if it's not my book, I can see if somebody else is going to enjoy the book. Just because it wasn't for me does not mean it wasn't for everyone. In the C tier, we have Wasn't Terrible, but Not Terribly Memorable. And then Recommendation Not Found for the D tier. So this is in a little bit of a weird order. We'll start with Once Upon a Broken Heart. I was not a big fan of Stephanie Garver's Caraval, but I really, really liked this. I thought it was a really good start to the series. It made me really interested in reading Caraval and actually maybe getting to that series, which is a funny way because I've had the entire thing spoiled for me at this point. So I'm gonna put it in Fantastic, but Not Starting a New Religion. Ballad of Never After I also really liked. I think Ballad of Never After is probably the strongest in the series. So I'm gonna put that one there. Book 2 will go there. And then book 3, Curse for True Love, I felt was a little bit rushed. I didn't think, I liked it, I enjoyed it, I thought it closed some of the series out really well, but there was stuff that just was raised and we didn't get back to it. So I think I'm going to put that under Someone Will Love It, because I know a lot of people really like this series. Powerless. It's basically Red Queen. I think we're going to put that under Wasn't Terrible, but Not Terribly Memorable. It's not the best written thing I've ever read. There was definitely some stuff. Oh, no. I need something between Wasn't Terrible and Recommendation Not Found. My main problem with this is that the love interest calls our main character Darling to an excessive amount. It was cute for about 5 minutes, and then he used it 3 more times in that conversation, and I wanted to yeet him off a cliff. Yeah, we're gonna put that in Wasn't Terrible, but Not Terribly Memorable. I'd still recommend it, but I just, okay, I feel like maybe that should go under Someone Would Love It then. It wasn't, I want to read the next book. We're really going to read the next book. Foul Lady Fortune. Oh my god. So, I have a mixed history with Chloe Gong's series in this kind of world, because the first 2 books, I don't know, this book kind of redeemed the second book in the Romeo and Juliet duology. So, again, I think I really like that. I'm going to put that under Fantastic, but Not Starting a New Religion. Stolen Heir. You know what? Technically, this is my first time reading it, but, I would reread it so many times. We're going to put that, we're going to find a lot of these going under Fantastic, but Not Starting a New Religion, I think. I don't know. I don't love it as much as I loved The Cruel Prince. It didn't entirely have the same level of magic for me as The Cruel Prince did and the books after. but it still was really cool to return to the world. It didn't, it ended on a weird note for me, but you know what, that's fine, that's fine. The Hunting Moon. I don't know if I could call that I really enjoyed this one. I don't know if I could call it fantastic. I gave it 4 stars. It was still really good. It was still really good. You know what? Yeah, this one will go into It's a Reread. Of course I love it. Just because I will reread this. I will reread this so many times. I'm going to reread it this year, probably, in preparation for the final book coming out. Song of Silver, Flame Like Night. This one was a really interesting book. I liked, like, it got a little insta-lovey, and that's not something that I usually complain about, but I felt like we needed a little, like, we went from 0 to, hey, maybe we're madly in love with each other and maybe we should get married really fast, even for my tastes. But I still really liked the world. I really liked what she did with, like, the characters and all of that, and I liked the questions that were being asked of it, and it was a good book. I think I'm going to put this under Someone Will Love It. I ended up giving this 4 stars, and I really, really liked it. It's not one that I'm going to be like I'm going to recommend it where it's applicable, and if I find someone who that sounds like something that they would enjoy reading, I don't think it's going to be one that, like, I'm not going to be buying it, I'm not going to be, like, all of that. Like, it's not one that I feel the need to reread or to own or anything like that. Crown Jewel just goes straight to It's a Reread. Of course I love it. This, oh my god, this book was just so good. I was so worried that it wouldn't hold up, that I'd read it and I wouldn't like it as much, and I loved it. This is one that I reread this year. It is a book that was really influential, more influential than I realized to me as a child when I was reading in my teen years and as I was starting to get started as someone who writes. And it holds up really well. Like, for the time that it was written, it kind of feels a little bit like it was I don't think I saw that, but it kind of feels like it was a little bit ahead of its time. Daughter of the Moon Goddess. Okay, so I think I gave this one 4 stars? 3 stars or 4 stars? I could tell you things about this book. The part of this book, I just was so frustrated with the main character and some of the choices that were being made on a writing level for this. It's a really interesting world. It's got a really interesting plot. There just were some places where I was just like, what are we doing here? We're gonna go with it wasn't terrible, but not terribly memorable, because I can't remember much of, oh god, and the one thing I do remember about it is, like, the ending, which was so incredibly frustrating. Next is Driftwood by Marie Brennan. That one, I think I'm gonna put that one in Someone Will Love It. This one is like a bunch of, like, little short stories about how a central character has touched different people's lives from their point of view, as everyone is kind of trying to figure out what happened to this character. I'm not going to do Along the Saltwise Sea yet. We're first going to do Over the Woodward Wall, which is going to go up to It's a Reread. Of course I love it. I would reread this. That's what it either is a reread or one that I will reread because I love it. This was just so wonderful. It is just perfect for those of us that, like, grew up on Chronicles of Narnia. It's perfect for, like, it's a portal fantasy, and I just absolutely loved it. I didn't love Along the Saltwise Sea as much. That one's going to go into wasn't terrible, but not terribly memorable. I think that one felt very much like there was interesting stuff that happened in it, but it felt very much like a filler book. We have some of the manga coming up here. We're going to start with Toilet Bound Hankokan #1. I think this one is going to go into Someone Will Love It, because I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good setup for the series. Again, actually, because I talked about the manga in a thing, I'm not going to go into too much. It was a good setup for a series, basically. I like what it's, like, what the series eventually gets to. Where is 2? 2 is here. 2, I want to say 2 and 3 are my favorites. So we'll put 2 and 3 in Fantastic and Not Starting a New Religion, and then 4 probably goes under Someone Will Love It. That one didn't. Actually, yeah, that one really didn't stick with me too terribly much. So Witch Hat Atelier, Volume 1 is definitely going into Fantastic but Not Starting a New Religion. In fact, I could probably put all of these under that, maybe? Like, I really liked this. It was not my favorite manga that I read. It kind of... But I can see the potential in it. So actually, we're going to put 2 I really liked. 3 was okay. So we'll put 3 in Someone Will Love It, and we'll put 4 in Someone Will Love It, because Like, they were good, but they didn't quite have the same magic as Volume 1 did. Upon a Burning Throne. Okay. So this is... I'm going to put this one under fantastic, but not starting a new religion. The world building and the way that Hindu mythology and folklore is worked into this book is so well done. I don't know what it is with me and, like, things that are based on the Ramayana and other religious and mythological Indian texts. But, like, it's been a theme recently, apparently. Like, it wasn't perfect for me. I can't remember the exact things that I had. Again, there's a wrap-up. But I really liked it. One of the critiques that this one gets is, like, misogyny being something that happens in this world. And I'm just like, well, that's because of what we're pulling from. A lot of it was, yes, there's misogyny, but it was the women overcoming misogyny. And it does cover a little bit of, like, internalized misogyny, and some of the women are pitted against each other in ways that were very real historically in royal families. So I think he did a really good job with that. Scales and sensibility. We're gonna put that on wasn't terrible, but not terribly memorable. This was the, like, younger sibling of Miss Percy's Pocket Guide to the Care and Feeding of British Dragons. I think that this was done, it's a very similar premise, and I liked it. I liked Miss Percy's more because I felt that Miss Percy's, number one, I was less annoyed with Miss Percy's, but I felt like Miss Percy's kind of asked the questions in ways that I was more interested in. The writing quality for me was better. A Touch of Light is going into fantastic, but not starting a new religion. I really enjoyed this one. Like, wowzers. The only problem I had with this one was that it does get a little bit, like, I don't know, draggy at the end, despite being super fast-paced. I felt like there was a point in the end that we needed to have cut the book off and then just gone on to the next, like, put that in the next book. Slaughterhouse 5. Ooh, I really enjoyed this. This one is, someone will love it. This is a very good book. This is a very, like, it's got issues because of the time that it was written. This is one of the ones I read for my Reading Like Taylor Swift vlog. There are issues in there. There is definitely misogyny in there. I cannot... Like, Kurt did not have the respect for women that he necessarily should have had. The way he was able to communicate and process and write about his experiences in Dresden was just fantastic. Next one is From Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is for, I honestly don't know her stance on this, but this is for the girlies that want to read Sarah J. Maas but don't want to support a rampant Zionist. If you take the ACOTAR series and the Twilight series and marry them together, and they have a child, that's what From Blood and Ash is. It was very easy to read, it's very readable. It's not one that I'm going to be recommending, though. Rogue Protocol, we'll do All Systems Red first. This is, okay, so this is just going up here. All Systems Red is going up to, it's a reread, of course, I love it, because I've reread this book. I've reread this book, and then I'm also going to be rereading Rogue Protocol. I love this frickin' series. I love it so much. January 15th was, we're going to put it in wasn't terrible, but not terribly memorable. I liked the premise of this. It was very interesting. I don't think the author necessarily interacted with it in a way that I don't know. It was like one of those things that was, I feel like the premise of the book was against welfare, and I don't remember much of the rest of it, just that, like, the entire thing that's going on in this book is that every January 15th, that's when people, or the 15th of every month, that's when people go and they collect their check from the government, and that's what people live on. And it has some very interesting stories in there. I think the author did a really good job. I just don't like the fact that, like I could never figure out, is the author saying, yeah, we should make sure that people's needs are met, or is the author saying that, no, society is bad in this book because of this, what's going on here. Ship of Smoke and Steel by Django Wexler is going to go in Someone Will Love It. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a really interesting fantasy world that he did. I think I read this one again for Tor.comathon. It is, oh god, there's, like, the magic system was really interesting. I didn't have, like, the pressing, like, I would definitely continue on with the series if I need the book for a prompt, but it's not something that I am, like, I feel an urge to continue on with the series. I think his adult series is just a little bit better. This is a hard one. Oh my god. I'm gonna I'm gonna put this under someone will love it. I was so frustrated reading this book. Ugh, it's a fascinating look and wake-up call as to how especially mothers are treated when their children are removed. However, as someone who worked with DCF, Department of Children and Families, part of my job was setting up services for those moms and knowing some of the intricacies of how that works. Like, it just, like, the premise of this, of why her child was removed and she had to do all of this, like, she did not, I can't fathom that severe consequences being what happened for what happened with her. Like, I've seen way worse, and the kids would still be back with the parent. It gets to the center of one of my frustrations with DCF, which is mom needed resources, she needed support, and instead of working through that and helping her with that, we decided we're going to take the kids away. And then we're going to, like, in this case, she gets sent to a re-education school. But in the case of what I did is, that's when they would finally pay for resources and help and get mom, like, mental health resources and help her with housing and all of this stuff. And, like, why didn't you just do that before you took the child away? Red Glove by Holly Black. I'm gonna put under wasn't terrible, wasn't terribly memorable. So my thing with this, I think it's the Casters series. For what it is, I'm actually surprised at how well done it is, especially for when it was written. It's very just, it's there, you read it, you have a good time, and you move on with your life. Like, I'll finish the series at some point, but it's not something that I find fantastic. Soul Eater. I think this is volume 2. Yeah, this is volume 2. We'll put volume 2 under, honestly, we're going to put all of Soul Eater under wasn't terrible, but not terribly memorable. Because the only way that it's actually that, and then recommendation not found for volume 4, because we had the return of the random sexual assault of a young boy and treating it as a joke. So I don't think so. Sea of Tranquility, that's definitely going under wasn't terrible, but not terribly memorable, because, like, I thought that How High We Go in the Dark was a much better exploration of the same freaking concept. Sea of Tranquility, like, I read it, I liked how everything was connected. It was a very interesting, not fast-paced, it's more of a cozy book, but it was a very interesting plot, but it didn't feel like it had any extra meaning. The difference between that plot in Sea of Tranquility and then the same plot revolving around a virus in How High We Go in the Dark, and the way that Sequoia took us through it. Like, I put How High We Go in the Dark down and was like, I need to reread that so I can see all of the little pieces, because I know I only got like a quarter or half of them. I immediately was like, I need to reread this. Like, it was such a good book. And I don't, like, Sea of Tranquility was okay, and it didn't leave me feeling like, oh my god, I need to keep going, I need to reread this. So Fantastic But Not Starting a New Religion for How High We Go in the Dark. River of Teeth by Sarah Gailey. I'm gonna put that in. This is another one that you can look at my Amazing Readathon wrap up if you want to see more details, but I'm gonna put that in wasn't terrible, not terribly memorable. The ending was a little weird for me. Like, I know it's a duology, and I may change my mind when I read the second book, or the second novella, but it just was like, it was good and then it wasn't. Okay, Spy Family. Both of these volumes are going up under Fantastic But Not Starting a New Religion. I loved this. This was such a good manga. Again, I have more thoughts in... Actually, no. We're going to put this up in... Of course I reread it. I hate to do this, but I'm going to put Arusha and the Tree of Wishes in wasn't terrible but not terribly memorable. The first two books are so, so good. And then this one, it felt like... I don't know, it almost felt like we phoned this one in. And the ending was a little weird, and I don't... Like, I know Rashni Chakshi is going to take it somewhere, and zero doubts on her, and I may change my mind later, but I just... It was not my... It's probably going to be my least favorite in the series. Rapunzel's Revenge by Shannon Hale, Dean Hale, Nathan Hale. I'm going to put that up, and someone will love it. This is a graphic novel that was sent to me by Kara over at Wild Book Garden. It is a very interesting little... like, reimagining of Rapunzel, but in the Old West. So I think this is a really good one. Like, kids will like this one, and I definitely want to check out the sequel. Normal People. I gave this one 3 stars, but I don't know that I don't care enough about it to even give anybody recommendations. Like, it was an okay book. I liked what it was doing. I wasn't bored, but it wasn't anything that I'm going to be writing home about. Same thing with The Pariah. I gave that 3 stars as well. It was a book that I read. It does some interesting stuff with religion. I haven't decided whether or not I want to actually go and, like, read continue on with the series yet, but it was on my TBR and I wanted to get rid of it, so or to read stuff on my TBR, so I went ahead and reid it. Actually, no, we're gonna move that to not terrible, but wasn't terrible, but wasn't terribly memorable. Ruin of Kings is going up to fantastic, but not starting a new religion. This was so good. There's an entire reading vlog. I'm not going to talk about this long. I have an entire reading vlog talking about this book, so if you want more in-depth thoughts of what I thought about it, go there. It'll be linked down in the description. I'll probably put it up in the card, all of that good stuff. Such a well-built world. The way that the novel is structured just really works for me. I loved it. What Moves the Dead is going to go into fantastic, but not starting a new religion. This was really good. I think I still like Nettle and Bone better. This got me, this creeped me out. It's hard to creep me out, but this got me. This was creepy as could be. Made me want to made me want to read the new, like, the original story by Edgar Allan Poe. I hear there's a second book coming out. I'm very excited about that. Even though I knew the end, I'm gonna put that under Someone Will Love It. And, like, it's not my favorite thing that I read last year, but I really did like it. It fell apart a little bit at the end for me. I thought that was kind of rushed. Princess Will Save You. I really enjoyed this, but, like, it's not a new favorite, by Sarah Henning. It's a Princess Bride retelling, but, like, the roles are reversed, so it's the princess going to save the stable boy. I don't remember much from it, but I did like I remember that I liked it, and I'm gonna be picking up the rest of the series. The cost. That's gonna go up under fantastic, but not starting a new religion. This is in my 3 blue books vlog, along with The Forgotten Girl. This is a really good one if you want to creep out your kids. The Cost of Knowing is really hard. Like, that one is going to be a hard book to read, because it's about a boy who knows he can see the future, and he knows his brother is going to die, and there's nothing he can do to stop it. And so you have to grapple with all of that throughout the book. The Forgotten Girl is just a fun little creepy novel that worked history into it. It gets into the abandoned black graveyards, because the graveyards used to be segregated, like so much else in this country, and we are dealing with a forgotten graveyard and a little girl that gets raised from it, and it was a really good book. Like, if you want to be able to teach your kids about history, it's a good one. The Cartographers, I'm going to put under Someone Will Love It. I didn't particularly like the ending of this one, but it wasn't, like, a terrible ending. I don't remember much about it. It was a very, like, engaging and interesting mystery in the plot. Like, that kept me going and kept me turning pages and wanting to finish it. But it, you know, not a new favorite. I'm not rushing out to read it, to get it. I'm gonna have to put Volume 3 of Kimi ni Todoke under wasn't terrible, but not terribly memorable. I can't even remember. I love the first 2 volumes. I can't even tell you what. Oh, no, wait, I do know. Never mind. We're moving this up. We're going to move this up to fantastic. I love this series. It is about what I think is an autistic-coded girl. It's such a sweet story about, like, this girl, like, that's been ostracized her whole life because she's a little odd, doesn't quite get social boundaries, doesn't quite understand social cues, but she's very sweet, she's very kind. Unfortunately, she has a resemblance to, like, a horror character in Japanese movies, or a TV show or something like that, and so a lot of people avoid her, and then this one guy, like, starts to pay attention to her because he thinks she's cool for reasons that I think we get into that in Volume 3, but he like starts talking to her, and because he starts talking to her, people realize she's not as weird as they thought she was, and she starts to get friends, which I really liked. I need to continue reading this series because it's a very sweet manga series. Deadly Waters by Dot Hutchison. This one is not my favorite of Dot's books. Dot, if you're watching, I love you. It just wasn't my favorite. I don't think you could ever top The Butterfly Garden for me. And that's a really high bar to hold things up to. I think I'm going to put this one under Someone Will Love It. Like, she does a really clever, interesting thing in this book. I gave it 4 stars. It was really good. It was really interesting. This is going up to fantastic. I'm remembering some things about the plot, and I just felt very vindicated in places, because a lot of it is about women taking back their power. It happens on the University of Florida campus. There were things mentioned there that I was like, I know that. I recognize that. I've been there. Things that were mentioned about the wall on 34th Street. Like, it was so nostalgic reading this. And if you don't know, Dot and I met when I was going to college at the University of Florida. So she is a friend from that time, but I still think The Butterfly Garden is the best thing she's ever written, but this was very good as well. It has a little bit of a twist that I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm not sure. Okay. Inheritance Gains. We're going to put that under Someone Will Love It. This was fun. I enjoyed it. I read through it really quickly. They're very short chapters. It's very easy to read through quickly. It's a little weird on the whole family and then from what I understand, this series drags out the question of whether or not she is related to these boys for way too long. It's not anything special, though. Like, it's a good, fun time, and then you put it down and you've read it. Death of Mrs. Westaway. I think this one is going to go under... I think this one's going to go under... wasn't terrible, but not terribly memorable. It's good. It's a good mystery. I liked it. I don't know how much of, like, the fact that I thought it was okay has to do with the fact that I've read multiple plots similar to that recently. Like, I think, because I read this at the beginning of January last year, and I think I read a couple of plots that were like this. It was a very, like, engaging, enthralling book. I definitely want to read more with Ruth Ware, but I don't think this is going to end up being my favorite one. The Justice of Kings. I really like this one, but it's not quite something I would say is fantastic, so we'll put it under Someone Will Love It. This was really interesting. I really like the things that it is, the questions it's asking about power and this journey that it is following with this justice that we're following. And it's a very much a kind of medieval system where he is judge, jury, and executioner to some extent. He travels around and some stuff goes down and he maybe oversteps his bounds, and we're following him through the eyes of, like, his clerk. Witchlings is going to go under Someone Will Love It as well. This one didn't, like, get me like, Ghost Squad made it to my top books of 2021, one of those. I didn't quite feel that Witchlings captured that same magic for me, but I really enjoyed it. It's a very interesting, magic system, and one of the things that Claribel always does really well, the author Claribel A. Ortega, one of the things they always do really well is come up with a good reason for it to be the kids that have to do the thing. And even in this one, like, they're going, this doesn't make sense. Why us? What's going on here? Like, why would you have 3 girls do this? And I like the way that they handle that when we how that is tackled throughout the book. Treason of Thorns is going under wasn't terrible, but not terribly memorable. This was so rushed, like the romance at least. Like, it was like, you know that it's something's not quite clicking when I'm like, the romance feels rushed. Ooh, Library Wars. I'm going to put this under fantastic, but not starting a new religion. This was fun. I really enjoyed this manga. And I am very excited to be continuing on with it here very soon. So, Chain of Gold and Chain of Iron are both going up under It's a reread. Of course I love it, because I love this series. Cinders and Sparrows is going under recommendation not found. This was a book that I read, and it exists. I think it's a good book if you want to give it to a kid. I don't think it's doing anything special, though. Fireburn is going up to fantastic. Not starting a new religion, though. That might change, depending on how the next 2 books go. I loved the throwbacks to, like, Roman history and mythology. So good. Then we're going to put, Belladonna is going to go under recommendation not found. I get why people like it. I think there are better things out there. Foul Heart Huntsman is going to go under Someone Will Love It. The thing with me and Chloe Gang is I feel like she does a really good job of writing first books. And I think the pacing issues that was in These Violent Delights, I think that those pacing issues were not there in either Foul Lady Fortune or Foul Heart Huntsman. I didn't feel like Foul Heart Huntsman kind of quite got me the way that the first book did. So I'm starting to feel like Chloe Gang doesn't quite know how to stick her endings, maybe? I enjoyed it. It was good, but it didn't... I'm having flashbacks to playing Baldur's Gate because I was listening to this while playing a lot of Baldur's Gate because I was listening to audiobooks. Anyways, and then the final book that we're going to talk about that I read in 2023 is going to go under the, it's a reread, of course I love it. In fact, it's going to go all the way at the beginning because it's the best book. Oh my god, this book, I don't know why it didn't make it to top 3 last in 2022 because it's a, like, if I could have put it at spot number 1 this year, I might have. Like, I've read it 3 times so far, and it just gets better every time you read it. Especially having reread it, knowing what happens in Painted Devils, and being able to see all of the little pieces that Margaret Owen has put in this book. And I love it so much. Like, anyways, that is going to be it. Alright, I gotta go edit this monster of a video, so let me know if you've read any of these books. Let me know what you thought of them. I would like to know how your reading year went in 2023. What's a book that you would put under each of these categories that we saw? Again, they are, it's a reread, of course I love it, fantastic, but not starting a new religion, someone will love it, not terrible, but not terribly memorable, and then recommendation not found. Let me know a book that fits each of those categories. I want to hear about those. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, if you enjoyed this video, I will have some over here. Up top, you are going to find my best books of 2023. Some of the books that we didn't talk about here, go right there to get them. And right down here, there is going to be a video that YouTube specifically thinks that you should watch. That is it for now, my friends. Happy reading, and I will see you later when we will talk about more wordy, nerdy things. Bye!